Maya Rodriguez stared at her phone, listening to her best friend Carmen sob on the other end. It was 4:30 in the morning and Maya had been deep asleep when the call woke her up. "Maya, I need your help," Carmen cried. "Isabella has a fever of 102 and she's throwing up. I can't leave her, but if I miss another day at Meridian Tower, they'll fire me. Please, I'm begging you." Maya sat up in bed, instantly awake. She knew how much Carmen needed this cleaning job. As a single mom, every dollar counted. Carmen had already missed 2 days last month when Isabella had strep throat. "What do you need me to do?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. "Could you cover my shift today? Just today, I promise. You know the building downtown, the big glass one? I clean the executive floors. It's easy work and no one will even know you're not me." Maya rubbed her eyes. She had her own problems. Her marketing degree was gathering dust while she applied to job after job, getting rejection letter after rejection letter. Her savings account had exactly $43 in it. Her rent was due in 2 weeks. "I'll do it," Maya said without hesitation. "What do I need to know?" Carmen's relief was obvious. "Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, listen carefully. The security guard is Rico. He's really nice. Tell him you're covering for Carmen. He'll let you in. Take the service elevator to the 40th floor. That's where all the big offices are. The supply closet key is in the front pocket of my uniform." Maya grabbed a pen and started writing everything down on the back of an envelope. "The offices should be empty at that time," Carmen continued. "I start at 6 and finish by 10. Just vacuum, empty trash, clean the bathrooms, and dust the desks. There's a checklist in the supply closet. Maya, I owe you big time." An hour later, Maya stood outside Meridian Tower wearing Carmen's slightly too big uniform. The building looked even more impressive up close. Glass and steel stretched up into the early morning sky, reflecting the city lights. She had walked past this building hundreds of times, always wondering what it would be like to work inside instead of just dreaming about it. Rico, the security guard, was indeed friendly. He barely looked at Maya's face, just checked her ID against his list and handed her a temporary badge. "Carmen's daughter sick again?" he asked with genuine concern. "Yeah, fever," Maya replied, surprised by how much Rico seemed to care about the cleaning staff. "Tell her we hope Isabella feels better soon," Rico said, buzzing her through to the service elevator. "You know the routine, right? 40th floor, finish by 10. The elevator ride seemed to last forever. Maya watched the numbers climb. 10, 20, 30, 35, 38, 40. When the doors opened, she stepped into a world she had only imagined. The executive floor was like something from a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city spread out below. The furniture looked expensive and everything was perfectly clean and organized. Maya found the supply closet and looked at Carmen's handwritten checklist. It was detailed and organized just like Carmen herself. Start with the main conference room, then the individual offices, then the break room and bathrooms. Save the big corner office for last because it usually takes the longest. She started working, falling into a rhythm. Vacuum, dust, empty trash, repeat. The work wasn't difficult, just methodical. As she cleaned, Maya couldn't help but notice the details of these offices. Marketing reports left on desks, strategy plans on whiteboards, awards on walls. This was the world she wanted to be part of, but here she was cleaning it instead of contributing to it. Maya was just finishing the conference room when she heard footsteps in the hallway. She froze. Carmen had said the offices would be empty. Maybe it was another cleaner? She quickly pushed her cart toward the supply closet, hoping to avoid any awkward questions about who she was. But as she rounded the corner, she nearly collided with a man coming out of what looked like a small kitchen area. He was tall, probably in his early 30s, wearing dress pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His tie was loose around his neck and his dark hair looked like he'd been running his hands through it. He carried a coffee mug that said, "World's Okayest Employee." "Oh," Maya gasped, clutching her cleaning supplies. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know anyone was here." The man looked just as surprised as she was, but his expression quickly changed to a warm smile. No, I should apologize. I didn't mean to startle you. I'm David." He shifted his coffee mug to his left hand and extended his right. "I work here." Maya hesitated for a moment, then shook his hand. "I'm Maya. I'm covering for Carmen today." How is Carmen?" "And little Isabella?" David asked, and Maya was surprised that he knew about Carmen's daughter. "Isabella's sick, that's why I'm here," Maya explained, then immediately worried she might have said too much. What if this got Carmen in trouble? David's expression showed genuine concern. I hope she feels better soon. Kids get sick so often. Is this your first time working here? Maya nodded, unsure how much to reveal. Carmen is my best friend. She needed help, so here I am. Well, that's really nice of you, David said. I hope we haven't made too much of a mess up here. I've been pulling an all-nighter with the quarterly reports. He gestured vaguely toward the offices behind him. All night? Maya asked, surprised. Don't you need to go home and sleep? David chuckled, and Maya noticed how tired his eyes looked behind his wire-rimmed glasses. I probably should, but you know how it is with deadlines. Sometimes you just have to push through. Maya found herself curious about this friendly stranger. Most office workers she'd encountered in other jobs barely acknowledged cleaning staff, but David was talking to her like they were equals. What department do you work in? She asked, then immediately worried the question was too personal. Oh, a little bit of everything, David said with a modest smile. I'm kind of involved in the overall operations. What about you? Do you do this full-time or do you have other work too? Maya hesitated. Something about David's genuine interest made her want to be honest. Actually, I have a marketing degree. I'm just helping Carmen out today while I look for something in my field. David's eyebrows raised with interest. Marketing? That's great. This company is always looking for people with fresh perspectives in marketing. Have you been looking long? About 8 months, Maya admitted, feeling a familiar pang of frustration. It's harder than I thought it would be. Don't give up, David said earnestly. Sometimes the right opportunity comes when you least expect it. There was something about the way he said it that made Maya believe him. Thanks, I needed to hear that today. David glanced at his watch. I should probably let you get back to work. I'm sure you have a schedule to keep. Yeah, I need to finish by 10, Maya said, suddenly realizing she had been standing there chatting instead of working. If you need anything, I'll probably be in my office for another hour or two, David said. The corner office at the end of the hall. Feel free to knock if you have questions. As David walked away, Maya watched him go, noting how he walked with confidence but without arrogance. She shook her head, reminding herself to focus on the work. Carmen was counting on her to do this right. But as she went back to cleaning, Maya found herself thinking about David's kind eyes and genuine smile. In a world where she often felt invisible, he had seen her as a person worth talking to. She had no way of knowing that this chance meeting would change everything about her life. Or that the tired man in the wrinkled shirt was actually the person whose name was on the building directory as chief executive officer. For now, Maya just knew that for the first time in months, someone had made her feel like her dreams might actually be possible. 3 days after Maya first covered for Carmen, her friend called again. This time, Carmen sounded embarrassed. Maya, I hate to ask again, but Isabella is still not completely better, and I'm worried about taking her to daycare. Could you possibly cover 1 more day? I know it's a lot to ask. Maya had been hoping Carmen would call. She hadn't been able to stop thinking about her conversation with David. Of course, she said quickly. Is the same routine okay? You're a lifesaver, Carmen said with relief. Rico said you did great last time. He even mentioned that you seemed really professional. The next morning, Maya arrived at Meridian Tower with a strange mix of nervousness and excitement. She told herself she was just being helpful to Carmen, but deep down she hoped she might run into David again. She was cleaning the main conference room when she heard familiar footsteps. This time she wasn't startled when David appeared in the doorway, carrying 2 coffee cups. Good morning, Maya, he said with a smile. I brought you coffee. I figured if you're covering for Carmen again, you might need the caffeine. Maya stared at the offered cup. You didn't have to do that. I wanted to, David said simply. Besides, I was getting coffee anyway. Do you like cream and sugar? Just a little cream, Maya said, accepting the warm cup gratefully. Thank you. This is really kind. David leaned against the doorframe, sipping his own coffee. How's Isabella doing? Better, but Carmen wants to be sure before sending her back to daycare, Maya explained, touched that he remembered. That's smart. Kids bounce back fast, but it's better to be safe. David paused. So marketing degree. Where did you study? As they talked, Maya found herself relaxing. David had a way of asking questions that felt genuine rather than polite. He seemed actually interested in her answers, nodding thoughtfully when she mentioned her college experience and her favorite marketing campaigns. You know, David said, I've always thought the best marketers are the ones who really understand people. It's not just about selling something. It's about connecting with what people actually need and want. Exactly, Maya said, her eyes lighting up. So many companies just push products instead of building relationships. Like they spend millions on flashy ads but never think about whether they're solving real problems. David grinned. You get it. That's exactly the kind of thinking that makes companies successful long term. When Maya finally had to get back to work, she felt energized in a way she hadn't in months. David understood her passion for marketing in a way that even her college professors hadn't seemed to. By the end of the week, Carmen was ready to return to work, but she had another request for Maya. The company just posted for a part-time weekend cleaning position, Carmen said. It's the same building, same floors, just Saturday and Sunday mornings. I told Rico you might be interested. The pay is decent, and I know you need the money while you're job hunting. Maya agreed immediately. It wasn't her dream job, but it was honest work that paid bills, and if she was being completely honest with herself, she hoped she might see David again. The weekend schedule was perfect. Maya would arrive Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7, when the building was mostly empty except for a few dedicated employees catching up on work. And David, she discovered, was often one of those employees. Their coffee meetings became routine. David would appear around 8 o'clock with 2 cups, and they would talk for 15 or 20 minutes while Maya took a break from cleaning. She learned that he was passionate about creating workplaces where employees felt valued, that he read everything from business books to science fiction, and that he had strong opinions about social responsibility in business. I think companies have a duty to their communities, David said one Saturday morning as they sat in the break room. It's not enough to just make profit. You have to think about your impact on people's lives. Maya nodded enthusiastically. Yes, and that includes all employees, not just the executives. I've worked places where management acted like support staff were invisible. That's terrible, David said, and Maya could see genuine anger flash in his eyes. Every person who contributes to a company deserves respect. The person emptying trash is just as important as the person in the corner office. Maya was struck by how passionately he spoke about employee treatment. She had never met someone in management who seemed to truly understand what it was like to be overlooked. Over the weeks, Maya began to notice things about David that impressed her. He knew the names of all the security guards and asked about their families. She saw him helping the IT team carry heavy equipment one Saturday, despite wearing an expensive-looking shirt. When the coffee machine broke in the employee break room, David somehow arranged for a better one to appear the following week. You must have some influence here, Maya commented one morning, gesturing toward the new coffee machine. David looked uncomfortable. I just mentioned it to the right people. Everyone deserves good coffee. Maya also noticed that David seemed to carry a lot of responsibility. He often looked tired, like he was dealing with important decisions. She saw him taking phone calls that sounded serious, talking about budgets and strategies and employee concerns. You work too much, she told him one Sunday morning when he looked particularly exhausted. David laughed. Probably. But when you care about something, it's hard to step away. What made you care so much about this company? Maya asked. David was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. I guess I believe that work should mean something. People spend most of their lives at their jobs. If we can make those jobs fulfilling and fair, we're making people's lives better. Maya found herself thinking about David throughout the week, not just during their weekend encounters. She admired his work ethic, his kindness to everyone regardless of their position, and his genuine interest in making things better for people. Meanwhile, David was developing feelings he hadn't expected. He looked forward to weekend mornings in a way he never had before. Maya's insights about the company amazed him. She noticed things he missed from his position at the top, like how the cleaning staff felt excluded from company communications, or how the employee parking situation created unnecessary stress. You should work in corporate communications, he told her one Saturday. You understand people and systems in a way that most consultants miss. Maya blushed. I keep applying places, but it's competitive out there. That week, David did something he had never done before. He printed out job listings from other companies, carefully selecting positions that would suit Maya's skills and interests. He left them near the cleaning supply closet with a note that said, "Thought these might interest someone with marketing experience. A friend." When Maya found the listings, she was puzzled but grateful. Someone was looking out for her, though she couldn't imagine who would take such an interest in a weekend cleaner's career goals. "David," she said the following Saturday, "the strangest thing happened. Someone left job listings for me, marketing positions at really good companies. Do you know who might have done that?" David kept his expression carefully neutral. "Maybe someone overheard you talking about your career goals. This building has a lot of people who like to help others succeed. It's just so thoughtful," Maya said. "Whoever did it really listened to what I said about wanting to work in corporate communications." David smiled. "Well, they clearly think you have potential." As the weeks passed, both Maya and David realized their feelings were growing deeper than friendship. Maya found herself dressing more carefully on weekends, and David found himself staying at the office on Saturdays and Sundays just to see her. Neither of them acknowledged the growing attraction directly, but it was there in the way David's eyes lit up when Maya laughed, and in the way Maya felt butterflies when she heard his footsteps in the hallway. Maya began to wonder about David's position in the company. He clearly had more influence than he let on, but she assumed he was perhaps a senior manager or department head. She never imagined that the kind, humble man who brought her coffee every weekend was actually the person whose vision had built the entire company. And David, who had spent years surrounded by people who wanted something from him, treasured the fact that Maya liked him simply for who he was in their conversations, not for what he could do for her career. Both of them were falling in love, but neither realized that their connection was built on a foundation that would soon be shaken by the truth. Maya stared at herself in the mirror, adjusting the neckline of her black dress for the 10th time. It wasn't designer, but it was the nicest thing she owned. She had bought it 6 months ago for job interviews that never led anywhere, and tonight would be the first time she actually wore it. The opportunity had come through one of those mysterious job listings that kept appearing near her cleaning supplies. This time it wasn't just a job posting. It was an invitation to attend Meridian Tower's annual charity gala as part of a group of potential marketing hires from competing firms. The invitation had been addressed to marketing professional and included a note about networking opportunities with industry leaders. Maya had almost thrown it away, thinking it was some kind of mistake. But Carmen had practically pushed her out the door. "Are you crazy?" Carmen had said. "This is exactly what you've been waiting for. Free fancy dinner, networking with marketing executives, and it's at the company where you work weekends. Maybe you'll even run into David." The thought of seeing David at the gala had both excited and worried Maya. Would he be there? What would he think of seeing her dressed up instead of in cleaning clothes? She had grown so comfortable with their coffee conversations that sometimes she forgot they came from completely different worlds. Maya arrived at Meridian Tower at 7 o'clock, barely recognizing the building she knew so well. The lobby was transformed with elegant lighting and flower arrangements that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Women in glittering gowns and men in perfect tuxedos filled the space, their voices creating a sophisticated buzz of conversation. A young woman with a clipboard checked Maya's name off a list. "You're with the Prospective Associates Group," she said with a bright smile. "Your host will be Jennifer Walsh from our marketing department. She's right over there in the blue dress." Maya joined her group, trying not to feel intimidated by the other attendees who all seemed to know exactly what to say and how to act. Jennifer Walsh turned out to be friendly and enthusiastic, eager to showcase the company's culture and achievements. "Meridian Tower isn't just about profits," Jennifer explained as she led the group toward the elevator. "Our CEO believes that business should improve people's lives, both employees and the community. Tonight's charity gala raises money for local education programs." As they rode the elevator to the top-floor ballroom, Maya felt a flutter of nervousness. She had never been to anything this fancy before. The elevator opened to reveal a breathtaking space with floor-to-ceiling windows, offering a stunning view of the city lights. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over round tables decorated with white flowers and gold accents. "The ballroom can hold 300 people," Jennifer continued, "but tonight we're expecting about 250. All of our department heads are here, plus community leaders and business partners." Maya scanned the room, looking for a familiar face. She spotted Rico, the security guard, wearing a nice suit instead of his uniform. He caught her eye and gave her a friendly wave, clearly surprised to see her at the gala. A few other faces looked familiar too, people she had seen during her weekend cleaning shifts. "Would you like some champagne?" Jennifer offered, signaling to a passing waiter. Maya accepted a glass gratefully, hoping it would calm her nerves. As Jennifer introduced her to various marketing professionals, Maya began to relax. The conversations were interesting, and several people seemed genuinely impressed when she mentioned her marketing degree and her insights about employee engagement. "You have some really thoughtful ideas about internal communications," said Robert, a marketing director from a consulting firm. "Have you considered specializing in employee relations? There's a real demand for people who understand both external marketing and internal culture." Maya was in the middle of explaining her thoughts on workplace communication when the lights dimmed slightly and a voice came over the sound system. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our host for this evening's charity gala, Meridian Tower's Chief Executive Officer, David Chen." Maya's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the marble floor. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the suddenly quiet ballroom. Several people turned to look at her, but Maya barely noticed. Her eyes were fixed on the stage at the front of the room. Walking confidently to the microphone was David. Her David. The man who brought her coffee every weekend morning, who asked about her dreams, who made her feel like her opinions mattered. But this wasn't the David she knew in his rumpled shirts and tired eyes. This David wore an impeccably tailored black tuxedo. His hair was perfectly styled, and he moved with the assured grace of someone accustomed to commanding attention. "Thank you all for joining us tonight," David said, his voice carrying easily through the room. "5 years ago, when I started Meridian Tower, I had a vision of creating a company that would not only succeed in business, but also contribute meaningfully to our community." Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. David Chen, CEO. The man she had been falling in love with was the owner of the entire company. Every conversation they had shared flashed through her mind. All those times he had asked about her job search, encouraged her dreams, listened to her ideas about marketing and employee relations. Had he been laughing at her the whole time? "Our success this year has allowed us to give back in ways I never imagined," David continued. But Maya could barely hear him over the roar in her ears. "Tonight, we're proud to donate $200,000 to the City Education Foundation." The audience applauded enthusiastically. Maya stood frozen as Jennifer leaned over to whisper, "Isn't he amazing? David built this company from nothing. He's only 32 and he still works crazy hours. They say he knows every employee's name. Of course he did." Maya thought about all the times David had mentioned knowing the security guards and helping other employees. She had been so impressed by his kindness and humility, never imagining it was because he owned the whole place. As the applause died down, David's eyes scanned the crowd and suddenly they locked with Maya's across the ballroom. For a moment, his confident CEO demeanor faltered. She saw surprise in his face, then what looked like panic as he realized she was seeing him as he really was. Maya couldn't stand it anymore. The room felt too small, too hot, too full of people who belonged in this world while she clearly didn't. She mumbled an excuse to Jennifer about not feeling well and pushed through the crowd toward the exit. Behind her, she heard David's voice continue with his speech, but she could tell his rhythm was off now. She didn't turn around to look. Maya made it to the elevator before the tears started. As the doors closed, she caught a glimpse of David on stage, looking directly at her with an expression she couldn't read. Was it regret, guilt, or just embarrassment at being caught pretending to care about the cleaning lady? The elevator ride down felt endless. Maya's mind raced with questions and doubts. Every conversation they had shared now felt different, tainted by the knowledge that he had been lying to her the entire time. Not directly lying, maybe, but certainly not telling the truth. How could she have been so naive? Of course, someone as thoughtful and intelligent as David wasn't just a middle manager. Of course, someone who could arrange for new coffee machines and seemed to know so much about company strategy was more than he appeared to be. But what hurt most wasn't that he was wealthy or powerful. What hurt was that he had let her share her struggles about finding work, her dreams about joining a company like his, her worries about making ends meet, all while knowing he could have helped her with a single phone call. Maya thought about all the times she had talked about wanting to work in corporate communications, how she had mentioned applying to companies just like Meridian Tower. David had listened and encouraged her, even left those job listings for her to find. But he had never once suggested that maybe, just maybe, there might be opportunities at the company where they met every weekend. By the time Maya reached the lobby, she had made up her mind. She couldn't go back to cleaning those offices, couldn't pretend that their coffee conversations had meant something real when they had been built on such a fundamental lie. Rico looked surprised to see her leaving so early. "Everything okay, Maya? You look upset." "I'm fine," Maya managed to say. "Just not feeling well." As she walked out into the cool night air, Maya pulled out her phone and called Carmen. "How was the fancy party?" Carmen asked cheerfully. "It was educational," Maya said, her voice hollow. "Carmen, I can't cover your weekend shifts anymore." "What? Why, did something happen?" Maya looked back at the glittering building behind her, where David was probably still giving his speech about community service and caring about employees. "I just can't go back there." "I'm sorry. I'll explain later." As Maya walked away from Meridian Tower, she didn't see David excuse himself from the gala 20 minutes later, or notice him standing at his office window, looking down at the street and hoping to catch one more glimpse of her before she disappeared from his life. All Maya knew was that the man she had been falling in love with didn't really exist, and the real David Chen lived in a world she would never truly belong to. Maya threw herself into her new job at Phoenix Marketing Solutions with a determination that surprised even herself. The company was smaller than Meridian Tower, but they had offered her exactly what she wanted: a position as junior marketing coordinator with opportunities to work on corporate communications projects. It had been 2 weeks since the charity gala, and Maya was doing everything she could to forget about David Chen and their weekend coffee conversations. She arrived at work early, stayed late, and volunteered for every project that came her way. "Slow down there, superstar," laughed Jessica, her supervisor. "You're making the rest of us look bad." Maya forced a smile. "I just want to prove myself." What Maya didn't tell Jessica was that work was the only thing keeping her mind off the betrayal she felt. Every time she let herself think about David, a mix of anger and hurt would wash over her. She had replayed their conversations dozens of times, looking for signs that he had been lying to her. But that was what made it hurt so much. He hadn't seemed fake at all. Carmen had tried to get the full story out of Maya several times, but Maya couldn't bring herself to explain what had happened. How could she tell her best friend that she had fallen for the CEO of the company where Carmen worked? How could she admit that she felt like a fool for believing someone like David could actually care about someone like her? Maya was working late on a Thursday evening, reviewing social media analytics for a client when Jessica knocked on her cubicle wall. "Maya, there's someone here to see you. Says his name is David and that it's important." Maya's heart stopped. She looked toward the reception area and saw him standing there in jeans and a plain blue shirt, looking nothing like the polished CEO from the gala. His hair was messy, like he had been running his hands through it, and his expression was worried. "I don't want to see him," Maya told Jessica quietly. Jessica raised an eyebrow. "He seems pretty determined. Says he'll wait as long as it takes." Maya glanced back toward reception. David was sitting in one of the uncomfortable visitor chairs, clearly prepared to wait. Part of her wanted to sneak out the back exit, but she knew that was childish. Besides, she couldn't avoid him forever, especially not when Carmen still worked at his company. "Tell him I'll be out in 5 minutes," Maya said. She used those 5 minutes to calm herself down and prepare for whatever David wanted to say. She had imagined this conversation dozens of times over the past 2 weeks, but now that it was actually happening, she felt nervous and angry and hurt all over again. David stood up as soon as he saw her. "Maya, thank you for seeing me." "I'm only seeing you because you're disrupting my workplace," Maya said, keeping her voice professional. "What do you want?" "Can we talk somewhere private, please?" Maya led him outside to the small parking lot behind the building. It was getting dark and the lot was mostly empty except for a few cars belonging to employees working late. "Okay, talk," Maya said, crossing her arms. David took a deep breath. "I know you're angry and you have every right to be. I should have told you who I was from the beginning." "Should have told me?" Maya laughed bitterly. "David, I spent weeks telling you about my dreams of working for companies like yours. I talked about how hard it was to find a job, how I was struggling to pay rent, and you sat there listening, bringing me coffee, acting like you cared." "I did care," David said urgently. "I do care. Right, the CEO of Meridian Tower cares about the weekend cleaning lady. That makes perfect sense. David flinched at the sarcasm in her voice. Maya, you're not just the cleaning lady to me. You never were. Then what was I? Maya demanded. Entertainment? Something to amuse yourself with between board meetings? Did you go back to your executive friends and laugh about the poor girl with big dreams? How can you say that? David looked genuinely hurt. Every conversation we had was real. Every minute I spent with you was the most honest part of my week. Maya shook her head. Honest, you lied to me for months. I never lied to you, David protested. I just didn't tell you everything about my job. That's the same thing. Maya's voice rose. I told you everything. My struggles, my hopes, my fears. I was completely open with you and you were playing some kind of game. It wasn't a game, David said quietly. Maya, do you have any idea what my life is like? Every conversation I have during the day is filtered through what people want from me. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone wants something. But with you, I was just David. Not CEO David or rich David or David who can give you a job. Just me. Maya felt tears threatening, but she pushed them back. So you decided to lie to protect yourself? What about protecting me?
Do you know how humiliated I felt at that gala?
Standing there in my cheap dress, realizing that I had been pouring my heart out to someone who could have helped me with a phone call but chose not to. I wanted to help you, David said desperately. I did help you. Those job listings you found, the networking opportunities, even the interview that got you this job. I was trying to help without making you feel like charity. Maya stared at him. What are you talking about? David ran his hand through his hair. The job postings that kept appearing near your cleaning supplies. The invitation to the charity gala. The connection that led to your interview here. I arranged all of it. You what? Maya felt like the ground was shifting under her feet. I couldn't offer you a job directly because then you would have known who I was, and everything would have changed between us. But I could make sure the right opportunities came your way. I made some calls, pulled some strings. The marketing director here is a friend of mine from business school. Maya didn't know whether to feel grateful or more betrayed. So you've been manipulating my life behind the scenes. I was trying to help someone I cared about, David said. Someone I was falling in love with. The words hung in the air between them. Maya felt her anger waver for a moment, but then it came back stronger. Love? She said. You don't even know me. You know the version of me that empties your trash cans and is grateful for coffee. You don't know what it's like to worry about rent, or to have your electricity cut off, or to wear the same interview outfit to every job application, because it's the only professional clothes you own. You're right, David admitted. I don't know what that's like. But I know what it's like to wonder if people only care about you because of what you can do for them. I know what it's like to feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people. And I know that every Saturday and Sunday morning you made me feel like maybe I was worth knowing for who I really am. Maya wiped away a tear she hadn't meant to let fall. But that's just it, David. I didn't know who you really are. I fell in love with someone who doesn't exist. I exist, David said softly. The person you talk to every weekend, that's really me. The job title, the money, the big office, that's just what I do. It's not who I am. How can you say that? Maya asked. Your job is your whole life. You work all the time. You make decisions that affect hundreds of people. You live in a completely different world than I do. David was quiet for a long moment. Maybe you're right. Maybe I've let the job take over too much. But Maya, being with you made me remember what I wanted when I started the company. I wanted to build something that mattered. Something that made people's lives better. Talking to you reminded me why that was important. Maya felt confused and emotionally exhausted. I don't know what you want me to say, David. I can't just pretend that the last 2 weeks didn't happen. I can't pretend that finding out the truth didn't hurt. I'm not asking you to pretend anything, David said. I'm just asking you to give me a chance to prove that what we had was real. To prove that I care about you, not because you're grateful for coffee or because you clean my building, but because you're smart and funny and you see things I miss and you make me want to be better. Maya looked at him standing there in the parking lot, looking nothing like the powerful CEO she had seen at the gala. He looked tired and sad and genuinely sorry, but she also felt tired. Tired of being confused and hurt and not knowing what was real anymore. I need time to think, she finally said. This is all too much, too fast. David nodded. I understand. But Maya, please don't give up on us completely. Please don't let my mistakes ruin something that could be amazing. As Maya watched David walk away, she realized that her feelings were more complicated than simple anger or hurt. She was still furious about the deception, but she also couldn't deny that every conversation they had shared had felt genuine. The question was, could she trust her heart again, or would the difference in their worlds always stand between them? Maya spent the next 2 weeks throwing herself even deeper into work, but her heart wasn't really in it. She kept replaying her conversation with David in the parking lot, trying to make sense of her feelings. Carmen noticed something was wrong and finally cornered Maya during their weekly coffee date. "Okay, what's going on?" Carmen demanded. "You've been acting weird ever since that charity gala. And don't tell me you're fine because you've been working until 9 every night and you look like you haven't slept." Maya stared into her coffee cup. "I met someone at Meridian Tower. We got close, and then I found out he wasn't who I thought he was." "What do you mean? Like he was married or something?" "No, not like that." Maya took a deep breath. "Carmen, he's David Chen, the CEO." Carmen nearly choked on her coffee. "Wait, what? The CEO? How did you even meet the CEO?" Maya explained everything, from their first encounter to the charity gala disaster. Carmen listened with growing amazement. "So let me get this straight," Carmen said when Maya finished. "The CEO of my company spent weeks bringing you coffee and talking about your dreams, and you're upset because he didn't mention he was rich." "It's not about the money," Maya protested. "It's about the lying." "But did he actually lie? Or did he just not mention his job title?" Maya frowned. "That's what he said too. Maya, honey, I love you, but you're being ridiculous." Carmen leaned forward. "This man spent weeks getting to know you, helped your career without asking for credit, and told you he was falling in love with you. And you're mad because he has a better job than you thought? You don't understand. We're from completely different worlds, so what? Love doesn't care about bank accounts." Carmen shook her head. "Girl, you are sabotaging your own happiness because you're scared." That conversation stayed with Maya for days. Was Carmen right? Was she letting her pride and fear ruin something real? Her answer came the following Wednesday when Jessica approached her desk with a strange expression. "Maya, I just got the weirdest phone call," Jessica said. "Someone from Meridian Tower wants to schedule a meeting with you about a consulting project. They said they were impressed with your work and wanted to discuss a potential partnership." Maya felt her stomach drop. "Did they say who was calling?" "Someone named Patricia from their marketing department. She said they've been following your work on employee engagement campaigns." Jessica looked puzzled. "I didn't even know Meridian Tower knew we existed. This could be huge for our company." Maya's first instinct was to refuse, but she realized that would be unprofessional and might hurt Phoenix marketing. Whatever David was up to, she had to handle it professionally. 2 days later, Maya found herself back at Meridian Tower for the first time since the charity gala. This time, she entered through the main lobby as a business professional, not through the service entrance as a cleaner. The receptionist directed her to the 20th floor conference room. Maya was surprised to find herself facing a room full of executives, including several people she recognized from the gala. Patricia Walsh, the marketing director, stood at the front of the room. "Thank you for coming, Maya," Patricia said warmly. "We've been reviewing your work at Phoenix Marketing, particularly your employee engagement campaigns. We're impressed with your understanding of workplace communication." Maya glanced around the room, looking for David but didn't see him anywhere. Patricia continued, "We're facing some challenges with internal communication at Meridian Tower. Employee surveys show that our support staff feels disconnected from company culture. We'd like your perspective on how to address this." For the next hour, Maya found herself presenting ideas she had been developing based on her observations during her cleaning shifts. She talked about the importance of including all employees in company communications, creating recognition programs for support staff, and building bridges between different levels of the organization. "These insights are exactly what we need," said Robert Kim, the head of human resources. "You clearly understand our company culture in a way that most consultants miss." Maya realized that her unique perspective, coming from both the cleaning staff and professional marketing worlds, gave her insights that purely corporate consultants wouldn't have. "There's one more thing," Patricia said as the meeting concluded. "Our CEO specifically requested that you present these ideas to our board of directors next week. He said your perspective on employee engagement could help shape our company policies." Maya's heart raced. "The CEO requested me specifically?" "Yes, David Chen mentioned that he'd heard about your work and wanted the board to hear your ideas directly." After the meeting, Maya found herself alone in the elevator with Patricia. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said. "How did Meridian Tower even know about my work?" Patricia smiled. "Honestly, David brought your employee engagement campaigns to our attention. He said he'd observed some of your insights firsthand and thought they were brilliant. He's been pushing for months to address the communication gaps you identified." Maya felt a mix of emotions. David was still helping her career, but this time he was doing it openly, giving her credit and putting her expertise in the spotlight. That evening, Maya's phone rang. It was David. "I heard the board meeting went well," he said. "Did you orchestrate that whole thing?" Maya asked. "I suggested that our marketing team look into employee engagement consultants," David admitted. "But Maya, everything you presented today was your own work, your own insights. I just made sure the right people heard them." "Why?" Maya asked. "Because you were right. About everything. About employee communication, about treating everyone with respect, about the gaps in our company culture, and because I wanted to prove that I see your value as a professional, not just as someone I have feelings for." Maya was quiet for a moment. "David, I owe you an apology." "No, you don't. I handled everything wrong from the beginning." "Maybe we both did," Maya said. "I was so focused on feeling betrayed that I couldn't see that everything you did came from a good place. And I was scared." "Scared of what?" Maya took a deep breath. "Scared that someone like you could never really love someone like me. Scared that the differences between us were too big. Scared that I was just fooling myself." "Maya," David said softly, "the differences between us don't matter. What matters is how we feel about each other and how we treat each other. And I promise you I have never felt about anyone the way I feel about you." "I feel the same way," Maya admitted. "I missed you. I missed our conversations and the way you made me feel like my ideas mattered." "They do matter. You matter." "Maya, would you be willing to have dinner with me? Not as CEO and consultant, just as David and Maya?" Maya smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'd like that." They met at a small restaurant neither of them had been to before, somewhere that felt neutral and comfortable. David arrived in jeans and a sweater, looking like the man Maya had fallen for during their weekend coffee talks. "I've been thinking about what you said," David told her as they shared dessert, "about not knowing who I really am. You're right that my job is a big part of my life, but it's not the most important part anymore." "What's the most important part?" Maya asked. "You are. Us. Building something real together." David reached across the table and took her hand. "Maya, I don't want to hide who I am anymore, but I also don't want my job to define our relationship. I want us to define our relationship." Maya squeezed his hand. "I want that too." "And David? I'm proud of what you've built with your company. I'm proud of how you treat people and how much you care about doing the right thing." "Even if it means dating the boss?" David asked with a smile. Maya laughed. "Well, I quit the weekend cleaning job, so technically you're not my boss." "Good point. Though I have to say I'm going to miss our coffee meetings." "Who says we have to stop having coffee meetings?" Maya grinned. "Though maybe now we can have them somewhere other than the office break room." 6 months later, Maya was settling into her new office at Meridian Tower as their Director of Employee Communications. The position had been created specifically based on her presentation to the board, and she loved the work of building bridges between different parts of the company. Every morning at 8 o'clock, David still brought her coffee. Some traditions they had decided were too good to change, and on weekends they often went back to where it all started, sharing coffee and conversation, but now as partners in both business and life. Maya kept a small photo on her desk of the cleaning cart that had brought them together, because sometimes the best love stories begin in the most unexpected places, and sometimes taking a chance on someone who seems too good to be true leads to something even better than you ever imagined.